Imagine standing on a bridge, looking down, and the river below you is so far away it looks like a thread. Not 100 meters down, not 200, 625 meters straight down, more than twice the height of the Eiffel Tower, stacked on top of itself. That's the Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge, and as of September 2025, it is officially the tallest bridge on the planet.
But here's the twist that makes this story different from every other Chinese mega bridge you've heard about. This wasn't built to connect a booming tech hub to a manufacturing zone, the way the Shenzhen-Zhongshan link fuses two wealthy coastal cities. This bridge was built in Guizhou, one of the poorest, most rural provinces in all of China. And that's not a coincidence. Guizhou is now home to nearly half of the 100 tallest bridges on Earth. Not because it's rich, because it's desperate. This is the story of a province that had to become the world's best bridge builder just to survive.
To understand why this bridge exists, you need to understand the ground it's built on. Guizhou is China's only province with no significant flat plains. 92.5% of its land is mountains and hills, jagged karst limestone terrain carved over millions of years into deep gorges and knife-edge ridges. For centuries, this geography didn't just make travel difficult, it made entire communities functionally invisible to the rest of the country. Villages separated by a 2-kilometer wide canyon could be a 2-hour drive apart because there was no way through, only around. That isolation had a direct economic cost. Cut off from markets, cut off from trade, cut off from modern infrastructure investment, Guizhou spent decades as one of China's most economically disadvantaged provinces. So the government made a calculated bet. If the mountains couldn't be avoided, they'd be conquered. Since the late 1970s, Guizhou has built nearly 30,000 bridges. 30,000! And in the process, this landlocked, mountain-locked province with no flat ground to speak of has accidentally become the bridge engineering capital of the entire world, home to the top 3 tallest bridges on the planet and nearly half of the top 100. The Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge is the culmination of that 4-decade campaign, and it might be the most extreme expression of it yet.
Let's look at what it actually took to build this thing. The bridge spans the Huajiang Canyon, crossing the Beipan River as part of the Liuji Anlong Expressway. Total length, 2,890 meters. Main span, 1,420 meters, the longest span of any bridge ever built in mountainous terrain. And the number that earns it the world record? 625 meters from the deck down to the water. That's 60 meters taller than the previous record holder. Also, notably, in Guizhou. Before this bridge existed, crossing this particular canyon meant a 2-hour drive, winding down one side of the gorge and back up the other. After construction finished in September 2025, that same crossing takes 2 minutes. Building a steel truss suspension bridge at this height over this kind of terrain required real innovation, not just scaled-up versions of existing techniques. Engineers deployed an intelligent cable hoisting system to lift and position the massive suspension cables with precision, even as wind conditions at that altitude shift constantly and unpredictably. The cables themselves use 2,000 megapascal high-strength steel wire, engineered specifically to handle the tension loads at this unprecedented span length. And embedded directly into those cables, real-time health monitoring sensors, continuously checking structural stress so engineers can catch a problem long before it becomes visible to the human eye. The project generated 21 patents and set new national engineering standards in the process. According to the bridge's chief engineer, the team's specific goal was fusing emerging high-tech systems with traditional civil engineering, building not just a crossing, but a live demonstration of what modern Chinese infrastructure technology could do under the most extreme geological conditions available anywhere in the country.
Here's the detail that turns this from an impressive engineering story into a genuinely strange one. While excavating the tunnel that leads to the bridge's foundation, construction crews hit something they weren't expecting: a massive underground flow of karst groundwater, forced up through the limestone by pressure deep beneath the canyon. In most construction projects, unexpected groundwater is a problem, something to pump out and dispose of as fast as possible. Here, engineers did something different. They built a 4,000 cubic meter reservoir to capture it, redirecting the water to irrigate local orchards in the surrounding countryside. But that wasn't enough. Someone on the project looked at that captured water and a 625-meter drop and asked, what if we let some of it fall? The result is a 300-meter wide adjustable water curtain that can be released to cascade directly off the bridge deck down into the canyon below. A man-made waterfall, engineered as a tourist spectacle, built entirely from water that was originally just an obstacle during construction. And the waterfall isn't even the strangest part of what this bridge has become. From the very beginning, Guizhou didn't just plan the Hajong Grand Canyon Bridge as a piece of transport infrastructure. They designed it from day one as a combined tourism and extreme sports complex. The bridge now features a glass-floor sightseeing corridor for visitors who want to look straight down through 600 meters of open air. There's a high-altitude swing and a bungee jumping platform for people who want to do more than look. There's an anchor rock climbing course built into the structure itself. And nearly 800 meters above the river, there's a fully operational cloud-top cafe where you can order a coffee while looking down at cloud layers forming beneath your feet. Within weeks of opening, the bridge had already become a magnet for tourism. New hotels, homestays, and restaurants springing up in what had previously been some of the most remote countryside in the province. A safety worker who spent years managing bungee jumps and rope swings elsewhere in China told reporters that working on this bridge, quote, felt like he could touch the clouds. This is the part of the story that Western infrastructure coverage usually misses. This isn't just a road. It's an attempt to turn geography that used to trap people in poverty into the exact thing that pulls tourism revenue toward them instead. So, is it working? Early signs are genuinely promising. Since opening in September 2025, the bridge has drawn a steady stream of domestic and international tourists, and local businesses report real, measurable growth in visitor spending. Telecommunications companies have started investing in high-speed 5G infrastructure specifically to serve the area, betting that connectivity will keep the tourism momentum going. But here's the honest complication in this story, and it's worth sitting with. Bridges like this cost real money, money that has to come from somewhere. Guizhou has taken on substantial debt to fund its decades-long bridge-building campaign, and provinces across China are currently under increasing pressure from Beijing to slow down exactly this kind of large-scale infrastructure spending, as local government debt levels raise concern at the national level. So the real question isn't whether this bridge is an engineering marvel. It clearly is. The real question is whether a spectacular, tourism-driven bridge can generate enough ongoing economic activity to actually justify its cost over the coming decades, or whether it becomes one more expensive monument in a province still working its way out of poverty. Zoom out, and this bridge is really just the latest chapter in a much longer, much bigger story about how China approaches geography as a solvable engineering problem, rather than a fixed limitation. We've now looked at two completely different versions of the same national instinct. The Shenzhen-Zhongshan link took one of the wealthiest, most productive regions on Earth and shaved 2 hours down to 30 minutes to squeeze even more economic output out of an already booming megaregion. The Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge does something almost the opposite. It takes one of the poorest, most geographically isolated regions in the entire country and tries to manufacture an entirely new economy: tourism, extreme sports, hospitality, out of the very terrain that used to be the region's biggest obstacle. Same playbook, completely different economic logic, completely different bet on the future.
Whether that bet pays off for Guizhou is a question that will take years, maybe decades to answer. But the bridge itself is already a fact. 625 meters of open air, a waterfall that exists because of a construction accident, and a coffee shop sitting nearly 800 meters above a river that used to take 2 hours to cross. If you want to see what happens when a poor, mountainous province decides that if it can't move the mountains, it'll simply build over them, that's the story of Guizhou. Do you think tourism-driven mega projects like this one actually lift a region out of poverty long-term, or do they just create beautiful debt? Tell me what you think in the comments, and subscribe to World Scale. We go inside the world's most ambitious infrastructure stories every week.